So we talk about CD Projekt Red's last release, Witcher 3, had these fantastic, memorable quests. So I go to anyone who's played this game and say, hey, do you remember the frying pan quest? Everyone straight away, you've just remembered it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's stuck in your brain because every quest in that game is fantastic. Cyberpunk has this other problem where it's a little bit hard to identify, is this quest actually worth my time? Or is it just going to be me going somewhere, killing a couple of guys, getting a reward? I don't really care about it. I won't even remember what I've done in a bit. And I guess that sort of sums up my feelings of the early hours of this game. It was a little bit hard just to tell if it's actually worth me going here and doing this thing or not. The more I played the game, the more I found that I was encountering better quest lines with better characters. So for example, let's look at one of the quests that stuck with me. It's a quest called Cinnamon, and I think it really sort of sums up how I feel about this game. The start of this quest is broken, just straight out broken. I had very little bugs with this game, but I really had a problem with this one quest line. All you have to do is meet with a guy. He wants to put a hit on someone and he wants you to just assist him. So what you gotta do is like a little scripted car chase, corner the guy, and that's the end of that little quest line. It freaking sucked. It really sucked. As you're driving your car down the road, you've got cars spawning in left and right, and you've got like the time of day changing as you hit things. It's absolutely ridiculous. So you get to this point, we get to an underpass, and sort of outside of your control, the person who's employed you just gets shot, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's just how that works out, which is a bit annoying for an RPG. You really want to have that control over all aspects, but yeah, this quest to start with had a bit of a bad taste in my mouth. So I approach the car and you get given this option. Do you want to turn your back on this quest line? You can assassinate the guy like you've been paid to do, or you can jump in the car with him and just see how this quest goes. And if you're listening to this and you see that quest comes up, I really recommend you jump in the car and follow the quest line till its conclusion. It's absolutely fantastic. I've seen other bits of media chase around this idea of martyrism and religion, but it's one of the things that this game does very well. It tells a story that's very unique to this world. That's one of the things I will say about this quest line, is that some of the concepts that this particular quest deals with has been experimented with and seen in other media, but this quest line does it in a way that's very unique to this game and very unique to this world. And just like the frying pan quest in Witcher 3, I find that quest to be memorable in its own way. So there's this book called Neuromancer. So if you're interested in Cyberpunk, you've probably heard about this book. It's considered one of the sort of foremost bits of media in this genre. Depending on who you ask, they might not say it's the best book. But what it does do is introduces lots of terminology that is used throughout this genre. Some of the things that were introduced in this book were terms like jacking in, or the idea of cybernetic decks to enter cyberspace. That was all this book that came up with that. It wasn't the first Cyberpunk book, there were ones before, 3 or 4. It's great to see that this book that was written so long ago and was sort of standalone, one of the first parts of this media, has bits that are coming forward in this new game. So this book was written quite a while ago, and it's pretty interesting to see that these terms like jacking in and cybernetic decks and the idea of cybernetically altering yourself, the idea of beauty being a cheap thing that anyone can change about themselves. It's cool to see that these themes made it so far into the future. This book was written in, say, the mid-80s. Here I am in 2020 talking about a game that still uses these terms. And whether you might like this book or not, there's one thing you can't deny, is that it's absolutely dripping in atmosphere. So the opening sentence of this book is, "The sky above the port was the colour of television tuned to a dead channel." Here's another quote from the book. "Night City was like a deranged experiment in social Darwinism, designed by a bored researcher who kept one thumb permanently on the fast-forward button. Stop hustling and you sank without a trace. But move a little too swiftly and you'd break the fragile surface tension of the black market. Either way, you were gone, with nothing left but a vague memory." And just like some of the terminology that was introduced originally in this book, you can see how the atmosphere was brought forward into this night city. Walking down these dark alleyways, looking up at the skylines, you can see how the corporations absolutely dominate the skylines. They're pushing such aggressive advertising on the citizens. And then you walk to the slums and you see that there's people here living in complete poverty. A theme that's constantly pushed through this game is that this city swallows you. And it's not just the influence of the corporations that swallows you, it's the underbelly of the city that swallows you. That's how I feel about this game. When it doesn't work, it's not good, but when it does work, it really works. The stories this world can tell are brilliantly crafted to fit into Night City, a place where you either make it or are swallowed whole.